What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Alton Podcast. My name is Colton, one of the co-founders of Alton Innovations. I'm here with my co-host / friend, Austin. Say hello to the people.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another show. We got something a little new coming at you today. We actually decided, after a very long talk, we've been on Discord for about 3 hours now, that we are no longer going to do the 1 hour segments.
Sad. But we got you guys covered. We are going to do mini podcasts. We're going to aim at about 15 minutes each to get you some shorter content, but we're going to upload multiple times a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So instead of one bulk episode once a week, you're going to get 3 mini episodes 3 times a week. Or at least that's the plan, you know. We're pretty set in stone about it, so I think it's gonna go good.
Yeah, and it's gonna be all relevant content. It's gonna be more fresh. It's gonna be more in the news. We think you guys will really appreciate that. So we're gonna try this route for a little while, see kind of what happens. This week's gonna be a little weird, being we're still launching on the original Tuesday.
Right.
But then after that, we're gonna do Wednesday, Friday. We're just gonna hit it right immediately. We're gonna hit the ground running and get this going.
Yeah, so today, after we, finish telling you guys about the new content, we're going to be talking about the whole juuling crisis, what's going on with that recently. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the new Amazon Echo Buds. And Friday, we're going to be talking about the federal raise of minimum wage. So make sure you guys stick around for those other 2 episodes coming out this week. Again, that's tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday. We are on Anchor, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and YouTube. Soon to be Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. So make sure you guys look out for those on our Anchor page. I believe that is anchor.fm/Alton Podcast.
He forgot the most important part.
Oh no, what did I forget?
Emphasize the Spotify, man.
Spotify. We are on Spotify, everybody. It's a free platform. Download it. Listen to us. It's great. Spotify. Alton Podcast. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, starting next week. You already, just hit the follow button. It's that simple.
And you won't be disappointed, guys. And, if you guys think of anything you want to hear, put it in the comments. Message us on Twitter, Instagram. We have our feeds everywhere. So follow us, like us, tell us what we're doing. Whether it's bad or good, give us that feedback. It's what we need.
Yeah. And, again, everything can be found on our Anchor page because that is our distribution company that, distributes all of our podcasts throughout. So if you want to know anything, especially hit up that anchor.fm/Alton Podcast.
And with that, let's jump right into this. What do you think, Colton?
All right. Yeah, it sounds good. And Austin knows a little bit more about this topic than me because he has done, I would say, not necessarily extensive research, but in the past 20 minutes, he's looked at probably about 17 articles on frickin' stop juuling. So I'm going to let him take this away. He's also a medical student, so there's that too. So take his opinion as you would.
Okay. I'm a pre-med student right now. Haven't hit medical school yet.
Same thing.
But I will, don't worry. So there's been this big crisis going on with vaping. It's been, roughly an announced thing for the past couple months now, but it seems to have skyrocketed. CDC reported about 80-ish potential cases back in middle of August, and now it's a whopping more than 800 people.
Wow.
Have been caught with the mysterious respiratory illness. It's affecting the lungs. It's kind of giving you flu-like symptoms and mentioning shortness of breath, abnormal weight loss, etc. And they believe it's kind of all due to an illicit THC cartridge. Mostly an identified black market brand named Dank Vapes. Funny, right? According to this article from the Chicago Tribune posted 3 days ago, 86 patients interviewed in Illinois and Wisconsin, 87% reported vaping THC. Nearly all the patients used pre-filled THC vaping products, and 89% were acquired informally.
Wow.
So it's a massive hit. Now,
Yeah.
Colton, I got to ask you an important question.
Okay.
Do you know what they believe is causing this mysterious illness?
I'm going to go on a limb here and say it's the age of people smoking, vaping.
Interesting. I like that. Okay. So, believe it or not, according to the CDC and other articles I've read, it's not the vast amount of chemicals in these products. It's not like a laced thing where it's just poorly made and they have something bad in it, like fentanyl or something like that. Instead, it's actually vitamin E.
Oh.
A natural vitamin that we need to
Really?
survive.
So what's wrong with it then? Is there's too much, or so like what's the problem?
In a lot of these vaping components, sorry, my mic was muted. I don't know how that happened.
Well, we overcame it.
So in a lot of these vaping products that have the THC, some of these have vitamin E. Vitamin A, D, and A, D, E, and K, are all fat soluble, which means they don't get passed through our system like vitamin B and C, which are water soluble. So what they believe is happening is this vitamin E is accumulating in the lungs.
Oh.
And that's causing these respiratory distress. It's causing the ventilators. It's causing the 16 deaths that we have seen since this has came to light.
Yeah.
And the scary part is we don't know if other deaths were linked to this before they started paying attention.
Yeah.
Now, it went from 8 to 16 in about 6 weeks.
Deaths? Did you mute your mic again?
No, you cut out on Discord. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, fill you guys in a little bit here. We had a big storm come through our area on Saturday.
Oof.
Friday night, Saturday night, one of the two.
Yeah.
Power got knocked out. We have lines down. So our internet's been a little bit spotty, especially on my end. So bear with us here a little bit, okay, guys?
We overcome.
We overcome. We got this. So they believe all this fuss, getting back on topic here, is due to a vitamin that we have naturally. So, with 6 weeks having that vast incline of casualties, it makes you wonder, how big is this going to become?
Right.
Do effects hit late for some? Is it an age thing like you're saying, where maybe the younger people are getting hit early? Because right now the age range, I think, is like 17 to early 30s.
Yeah, it's young. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm understanding this correctly, you're saying that the vitamin E is only an issue because it's turned into smoke, and then the smoke sits in on the lungs?
I believe that is correct, yes.
Okay. So the regular vitamin E, like let's just say you take in maybe a multivitamin, is fine.
In correct quantities, yes. You can, theoretically speaking, you can take too much fat soluble vitamin.
Yeah.
Offhand, I cannot recall what it's caused if you have too much stored in the fat and it starts to dissipate.
Got it.
But it is bad and it can kill you. So watch your vitamins, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting how some of the best things can also be the worst things for you. It's pretty weird. But that's another interesting thing about this whole scenario is that the CEO of Juul said that juuling isn't even intended for everyone. It's only meant to wean smokers off cigarettes. And he told people to just stop vaping because it's not what the product is intended for.
And I think that's really funny because vaping was completely made for people that were trying to find an alternative for smoking. I do believe, at least mostly.
It was like that at first.
But then it got kind of advertised perfectly for kids, adolescents.
Yeah.
They've actually showed a video. I always follow Dr. Mike on YouTube.
Okay.
He's huge. He's great, and you should follow him, guys. Follow him, please. He mentioned a video a few weeks back talking about vaping and what it's doing to the younger audience. They've seen a significant increase in teen smokers now, mostly vapors, within the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's massive. So what was made to prevent people from doing something we know is harmful now got replaced as a gateway to start something that could potentially be very harmful, if not more harmful.
Right.
We don't know what these chemicals do to our body yet. We're just now learning the effects, just like when cigarettes were released. You know, they were released as something that was good for you. And then years later, we realized how bad they are. But for some reason, people keep buying them.
I mean, it's obviously addiction.
But they weren't addicted when they start.
I mean, I don't know. It's a very weird scenario. Like, I asked my grandma, okay? She's been a smoker for 50 years. You know, she's in her late 60s. She told me she's been smoking since she was, you know, a teenager. And I asked her why she started and why she still smokes. And her answer wasn't addiction. It was, she started because it was cool at the time. And she still does it as a stress reliever.
Okay. My aunt smokes.
Yeah.
Every day. She's wanted to quit for a long time. And, it's hard to quit that kind of stuff. The nicotine really does grab hold. And if it's not the nicotine, it's the habit of just lighting up when you're driving or when you're working on something, you know.
Right.
Habits are the death of some people. They really are.
Right.
And it's really unfortunate that these new habits are being replaced by something we know nothing about. But it's really funny how things we don't know about are released as such a good thing. Like cigarettes. The media back then for cigarette release was they're good for you, you know, they'll help you with X, Y, and Z. Nothing but positivity about smoking. So everybody was doing it from the age of 8. My grandpa in Missouri, well, I guess in Pennsylvania now, he was smoking at like 8 years old, 7 years old.
That is insane.
And that's because people were told it's good for you.
Why would they say that, though? They just didn't know?
Well, one, they didn't know, and two, it's different times. You know, they just figured the bigger the audience, probably the more sales, which is correct. But what blows my mind is that we know so many cancers are related to just smoking.
Oh, yeah.
So,
like, it literally says can cause cancer on the pack of cigarettes. Yeah. It's like, what more of a red flag do you need?
And the worst part is, it's not like it's going to cause you a quick, painless mortality.
Right.
It's going to cause you a slow, painful, kind of almost, shamefully to say, miserable mortality. Like, you're going to die and it's not going to be pleasant.
Right.
And it sucks. You know, if you have family that are smoking, try to get them to stop. It's hard. They may not like you, but it's important from a health standpoint. You know, you do so much bad things to your body. And if you vape, and that's for you, that's great. But be careful. Don't overindulge. We don't know what this does yet, and people are failing to admit that.
Right. I mean, if the CEO of Juul is telling you to stop juuling, like, you know it's not safe in general. Like, granted, he was, I guess, more so targeting the younger audience at that when he was saying that. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, if you're telling the younger audience to stop, why aren't you telling the older audience as well? You know what I mean? It's like saying, let's just say cigarettes. It's like saying to, like, people up to the age of 25 to stop smoking, but not telling people older than 25 to stop smoking. It literally just kind of makes no sense. It's, you know, it's one of those types of products where you should either be telling everyone to use it or no one to use it, because it's literally just that dangerous.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And, you know, the funny thing is, I talked to a physician not too long ago, and I was, you know, just kind of personally talking to him. I'm kind of close with him. And I said, so, you know, what do you tell your patients that have been smoking for 40, 50 years? I was just curious, you know?
Yeah.
And he told me the funniest thing. He said, you know, they've done the damage after 40, 50 years.
Right.
He's like, you're not going to revert that damage. The
Fair.
harm is done, and if they're already ill health, let them enjoy what they have.
Huh.
So he's like, pretty much what he told me is there's no recovery from 40, 50 years of smoking. At least in my head, that's how I interpreted it. Now, maybe if you started at the age of 8, like my grandpa did,
Yeah.
and quit at 58, and you were lucky enough to not have any ill effects from it, you didn't have any episodes of cancer, nothing.
Yeah.
You may see some lung recovery, absolutely.
Right.
Your body will heal itself. But what he's saying, what I believe he was mostly saying, is that you have this thing that's been keeping you not necessarily going, but keeping you happy. It's your comfort, you know?
Right.
Don't take away someone's comfort toward the end of their life. There's no point.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. Or not necessarily agree, but I can understand his point of view.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm no doctor, but I would imagine at some point, you know, there obviously is no going back. Once you've done the worst, you've done the worst. And especially if we're talking 50 years of buildup, like, I mean, and if you're already like 60, you know, the body is kind of already starting to not heal as quick anyway.
Absolutely.
Come about a certain age. I would imagine that age is between 50 and 70.
I'll get back to you not in like 3 years.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just crazy.
And again, I can't. This is going to be one of those things. I think vaping is going to take over smoking.
Yeah.
I think that more people are going to continue to vape. And I think that even when all the health warnings are out about vaping, whether it causes 72 different types of cancer, whether it can make your tongue fall out, you know, whatever these warnings are, people are still going to do it. Because I don't know why.
100%.
But people will still continue to vape. They will continue to buy these products. I know some people out there that probably listen to this podcast go, well, why haven't you mentioned the flavored vapes? They don't do any harm.
It's literally the same thing.
It's not quite, but it's not the THC. The THC is what's the target right now. The THC is what's doing all this, at least as far as they can tell. But the thing is, the THC is causing these effects now. This is what we're seeing now, after maybe arguably a year and a half. What are we going to see in 5 years with those regular, normal flavored, with don't have the THC, they don't have the vitamin E? What new things are we going to see in 5 years? We don't know every chemical that they put in these vapes.
Right.
You know, these vapor are supposed to be mist clouds, but you don't know that. When people release vitamins, they don't have to release an exact list of every chemical they put in your vitamin.
Really?
They do not have to. It's not FDA required.
Really?
Yes. So buy good vitamins, guys, because they can put some, I don't want to say shady things in there, but they don't have to put everything in they're telling you. So it's a very interesting fine line of how much we get to know.
It's very interesting.
I know I just learned about that from vitamins maybe 4 months ago. I worked in the field for a while now, and I was just told that by a person I can't even recall who. You know, I probably should fact check it, but I haven't because I trust the guy. So if I'm wrong, guys, let me know, please. I'm okay with that. But one thing we do know is that this vaping thing is probably going to last for another 10 years. And unfortunately, it's probably going to be another 5 before we know, at least another 5, if not 10 years, before we know what these are going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine your answer is going to be no with what I'm about to ask, simply because cigarettes are still legal. But do you think it'll get to the point to where vaping gets so bad that the government will ban it?
No.
I didn't think so.
And there's several reasons to that, but I think the biggest one is that the people like it. The people enjoy vaping. So even if it was banned, people would still do it. You know, marijuana is illegal in most states. People still do it. Cocaine is illegal and known to be very harmful. People still do it. You know, it's one of those things where people want what they want, and if they can't get it legally, they'll get it illegally if they really want it.
Yeah.
So they've manufactured so much vape products. Honestly, banning it might be more dangerous than not.
Yeah.
Just because then it can get in the wrong hands easier, and if you have people start making their own vape cartridges and going that on the streets, that's not going to be good.
So are you saying that's the reasoning why you think cigarettes are still legal? Is because it's technically safer to give them the manufactured version than some whack version from the back alley?
I think cigarettes are still legal because of how big that industry has become.
Financially?
Yes.
I can see that.
They have so much pull in so many different areas. They have so much weight as a tobacco industry. They're such a giant. It's like trying to take Apple out. You know, while they've made some iffy plays and some sketchy moves over the years, like, you're not going to knock out Apple, not for a very long time.
Yeah.
So pretty much what has to happen is their generation has to be, what's the politically correct word here? Their population has to be, I guess, weeded out.
Yeah.
So to speak, over years, you know, over time.
Yeah.
And then us as millennials and beyond are mostly probably going to vape over smoke. I really do want to see some numbers in the next couple of years about the percentage of people our age vaping over smoking. Because I know people our age smoke, but I feel like many more of us vape.
Our age? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, definitely.
Like, I've maybe met 5 patients that vape over the age of 50.
Yeah.
And they've all vaped because they used to smoke, which is what it's intended to do. So, bravo to them.
Yeah. You want to know something I have found interesting? Out of all the people I know that do vape, most of them surprisingly don't know that there's nicotine in it.
I've noticed that. Did you know that some vape cartridges have more nicotine than cigarettes?
Yep.
Isn't that nuts?
But it seems like the people that don't vape know that, and the people that do vape don't.
Yes. And, you know, so as Colton was saying at the beginning of the video, I looked through several articles over a maybe 20, 30-minute span.
Yeah.
And the problem with this issue right now is there's so much propaganda out there right now. There are so many sources that I just didn't know if I could trust. And the ones I pulled up, I'm hoping I can trust. This is one of those things that there's influence from some big companies that have money that can pull some weight in. And there's a lot of controversy as to what's going on.
Right.
It's just like the whole anti-vax debate. It's just like the whole anti-circumcision movement. You know, all these things, there's plenty of multiple sides to it that can go, you just don't know who to believe.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's also just so many holes still. So many unknown areas. You know, it's still new. Let's be real. It's still a new product. Yeah. Like, even when it first started coming out, when people called them e-cigarettes before they were called vapes or whatever, even then, people were super skeptical about them. And, you know, it's a bit more normalized now, but even though it's normalized, people really still don't know what the product is, or at least what's in it.
And the scary part is, I don't think they've tried to look.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, okay, just to confirm that, I know people haven't looked because, like I just said, like about a minute ago, people who vape don't even know there's nicotine in their vapes.
Yeah, and it's crazy because these people, like, these symptoms patients are having this respiratory illness are extreme. Shortness of breath, fatigue, weight loss. I mean, I can't stress that enough. The shortness of breath is terrifying. Me being an old asthmatic, being short of breath is like the worst feeling in the world. You can't catch your breath no matter how hard you breathe in. So what you'll notice is abdominal contractions. when somebody's really having a hard time breathing, I don't look at their chest. I don't look at their face or their neck or anything like that, their shoulders. I'm looking at their abdomen. I'm seeing how far is that going in, because that lets me know, okay, they're stressing. They're using all their muscles in their diaphragm.
Right.
To try to get that air.
Yeah.
And when I see that, that's when I see O2s 92 and below.
Right.
That's horrible. So these patients are getting put on ventilators. You know,
wow.
And when you get put on a ventilator, your odds of survival are, you know, really cut in half almost.
Really?
I don't know the exact statistic. I'll look it up real fast.
Wow.
But
That's
I
insane,
know,
though.
like, many people have told me when the ventilator hits, it's not good.
That's crazy. Absurd.
So let me just look that up real quick.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's just crazy how people just still use stuff knowing the hefty consequences.
Yeah.
Like I know some people are, but are most people, other than addiction, really just that focused on, like, I guess their image? Like how cool they look? Is it really a status symbol? Is it really just that?
You know, it may be as simple as that. You know, it's really weird because the stigma of being healthy, like being in shape, being, you know, not like being healthy, just being healthy has a holistic value.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of good vibes around that besides what you give yourself.
Right.
And that's horrible. Like from a medical standpoint.
It's weird.
It's terrible. You spend more money being healthy than you do being unhealthy.
Yep.
And there are so many less healthy products out there than there are bad.
Yep.
You know,
and it's definitely a reason why people are discouraged to even start weight loss. Because, like, if you go to, let's just say, a regular grocery store and get, like, the basic fruits, vegetables, and stuff, let's just say you spend, like, $50 on fruits and vegetables, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to Whole Foods and get all the same things, the same amount, but organic, you're spending $150, $200 on the same amount of stuff.
It's insane. And the values might not be that much of, like, a distinction. But I can guarantee it's at least double.
Yeah.
You know, or at least 125%. I mean, it's...
Right.
Why aren't we rewarding society for being healthy?
I mean, I think we kind of touched on that earlier. It's just the financial gain that these industries get. They know there's a select market, and they're okay with how big that market is. So they just keep feeding that market with the same, if not heftier, prices.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, it's horribly sad, and I don't think it's a trend we're going to get away from for a long time.
We never will. This world has always run on business. It will never stop.
So I did, not to cut you off there, I did find the mortality rate for the ventilator. Just a quick search here. This is from an IHI website.
Okay.
And the mortality rate approaching 50%.
Well, there it is.
With the ventilator-associated pneumonia, VAP, is one of the most dreaded infections that can strike a hospital patient. It inflicts up to 15% of those in intensive care units, which is exactly where these vaping patients are going.
Wow.
Units so weakened by illness or trauma that they need mechanical help to breathe. So essentially, if you get this infection, which happens to 15% of ICU patients, you have a 50% chance of pulling through.
Wow.
So
that's terrifying.
That's horrible. You know, all my friends, or shouldn't say all of them, you don't vape. A majority of my friends vape.
Yeah.
And I've tried, to talk to them and get them to stop. I don't like to heavily influence people's decisions. We're all adults. We can make our own choices.
Right.
But every now and then I kind of say, hey, maybe not a good call.
Right.
Do you see the news? And then usually when I say that, they say, oh, well, that's all THC products. Yeah. That's not what I'm vaping. And I'll go, well, this is just the beginning.
Right.
Again, unfortunately, stuff like this, it gets into your body slowly.
Right.
just like, unfortunately, cancer. It's a slow, not always, but many forms of cancer are a very slow killer.
Right.
And it's crazy, like just the way, it's sad to say. So I'm going to say something sad. I know a little bit about cancer, and I know med school is going to teach me so much more. But I had a professor at Purdue who does a class on cancer biology. I was really looking forward to taking it, but I'm moving, so I can't take it with him. I'm very crushed by that. So in my class, I should say, he just kind of touched upon cancer and, a couple of different things about it. So I know, like, what it affects in the cell to make it go into a tumor. I know, like, the weird information like that, but I don't know how cancer kills you.
Interesting.
Like, we know cancer is bad. We know it can kill you. We know that certain types of cancer are worse than others, but I wonder how many people can say exactly how it kills you.
Is that why we don't have a cure?
I don't know.
Maybe that's why.
This is a thought that just hit my head. Like, I don't know why cancer can kill you. One of my coworkers, unfortunately enough, she's in the hospital right now. She's not doing well at all. She's on some life support. She has breast cancer as of about 2-3 months ago. And she just got a port put in, which is something that goes up to do her heart. And that's how I think they're doing the chemo. I got mixed information about all this.
Yeah.
But now she has 105 fever, and she's not doing well at all. Febrile seizures and stuff like that. So send some prayers out for her if you can, guys. Just some anonymous prayers.
Yeah.
Hopefully she pulls through. She's a great person. But I don't know how the cancer that she has caused the symptoms that she's having. It could be a bad port. Very well. Port infections are horrible because they go directly to the heart. But I don't know what causes cancer to kill people. And that drives me insane. And I'm probably going to research that shortly after this video.
Yeah. So I'm looking at some basic articles here, and it seems like, I guess, the lumps you can get from cancer can just kind of like block arteries and organs, which ultimately blocks or like clogs up your organs and arteries and stuff. So it's like a physical spacing issue, I guess.
That's interesting.
For the most part here.
That would make sense, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, right?
That would also explain why the focus on treatment is to either remove the tumor or to shrink it as fast as possible.
Right, because it's going to block something later. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this whole article is about blockage. So it's got to be something along those lines. Something. And I guess, that's another thing. Internal bleeding.
Oh,
I guess, like if it gets too big, it can burst something like that it's around or on or whatever. So, wow. That's terrible.
We are learning so much today, and it really is unfortunate. And again, guys, we're not telling you to stop vaping. We're not telling you guys anything about it. If anything, you guys tell us what you know.
Right.
And we'll talk about this a second time. This is not over. I sadly predict that the toll is going to go up much higher. I do see us going into the couple thousands of affected people. Probably in, honestly, I'm going to say by February. So 4 months, we're going to have a couple thousand easy. It's only going to keep speeding up. It's only going to get faster.
You said, go ahead.
Go ahead. What are you going to ask?
You said the THC vaping deaths doubled in just the past 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, doubled. Wow. It was 6 last I saw, and now it's 12.
Wow.
And the amount of cases, I want to say almost tripled. But the thing with that is people know what they're looking for now.
Right.
So some of that is probably a mislabel, a misdiagnosis.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of that is correct. And the problem is we missed some prior to this being a big news.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that the CDC has not found an answer yet after 3 weeks concerns me. Mm-hmm. They're a very big unit. They're focused on health. and they have so many brilliant minds in there. So I wonder why. I don't know if it's a hesitancy thing where they don't want to be wrong, or if it's just that they really don't know.
Right.
With certainty. And that worries me, because then we don't know what's that secondary chemical that's causing this. Because that secondary chemical could be in all vape products.
Right. And I think that's just kind of the whole story here, is that, people just don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scary part. And people are finding out the hard way because people are literally dying.
Mm-hmm. And I do think one bad thing is how heavily vapes were used. People would just sit there and go to town on them.
Dude.
For as long as they could. Like, it'd be a daily ritual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember those, the e-cigarette things? You try to, like, do different smoke things?
Yeah.
The smoke tricks?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what they're called now. But that was huge, and that required people constantly breathing it in, constantly releasing it, and practicing. Yeah. That's a dangerous thing to practice on.
Right?
So the fact that you can make these big clouds that everybody finds cool, that smell good. I have to admit, the vape clouds, they smell good.
Yeah, come on, they smell like candy and, like, I don't know, popsicles or something.
Yeah, if it wasn't for me being asthmatic in the past and being in the medical profession, I think I probably would have tried a vape. Honest to God.
Wow.
But, I see what goes on around me, and now that I'm seeing this, I'm certainly going to pick one up.
Yeah.
Side note, crazy thing here, is I see doctors that smoke.
Yeah.
Doctors.
Yeah.
They've been to medical school. They know almost better than anyone why smoking is bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's mind-boggling. I actually know an oncologist that smokes.
Wow.
The cancer doctor smokes a cigarette.
Wow.
Isn't that so weird? And like me as I shouldn't say wannabe doctor, but me as someone that's trying to strive for that profession.
Yeah.
I will never pick up a cigarette because I don't want to be in that situation where I tell a patient you need to quit and I'm doing it.
Right.
Completely agree. That makes me a hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite.
Exactly. Right. Right. Yeah. I got you 100%.
I'm not going to tell someone to do something that I'm not willing to give up.
Right.
So, I don't know. Yeah. It's going to be a mess. We're going to figure out a whole bunch of stuff in the next couple of months here. Be safe, guys. Don't do anything crazy, again, we're not saying stop. Just moderation is key, guys. Moderation.
True. Very true.
Any last words you want to say there, Colton, for this video?
Don't do drugs, kids. That's about it.
Don't believe everything big companies tell you. How about that?
True. Look into things. I think that's the biggest thing here. Is know what you're using.
Research it.
Just be smart about it. It's that simple.
And don't believe every article you see, because I saw a lot of bad ones from bad sources just in the 20 minutes I was looking at them. That's horrible. Horrible.
Right. It's a hot topic, Can't blame these media websites for taking advantage of that, I guess, but...
You can. Media's a problem. Media's an issue.
Well, yeah. That's another podcast, though.
That is. Okay, guys. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you like our new segments. And we'll see you next time. Be sure to comment on our videos, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Yeah, and follow us on all of the podcast platforms. Again, Anchor, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and soon to be Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. We're just waiting for that auto distribution to kick in. Hopefully we'll get it the next week here. So again, Anchor, Spotify, and Pocket Casts. Make sure you guys follow us on those, and all the socials, obviously, at Alton Podcast. And we'll catch you guys in the next podcast.